Today's video is all about hash maps. I will explain what hash maps are, where they are used, what is the difference between arrays and hash map, and where should we use hash map instead of arrays. I'll also try to explain what hash functions are. Hash map is a really important data structure and there is a good chance that it will be asked in your next programming interview. So why not learn it, right?
Nice.
Hash maps, aka known as objects in JavaScript and dictionaries in Python, it has a different name in almost every other programming languages. So, why do we even use hash map or where do we use them? Hash maps are used in a lot of databases and caching system and it's used in almost all of the modern software that you will see. It's a key value paired data structure, which means that there is a key and value attached to every key, and then that key is unique and the value can be duplicated for every key. So how does all of that even work? To completely understand how hash maps work, we need to understand something called a hash function. A hash function is nothing but a black box just for now that takes in a key and returns an address inside the memory, and that address remains exactly the same every time the key is the same. For example, if the key is hello, then the address is 001, then every time you call that key or pass in that key in the hash function, the address would remain the same, that is 001. And this is really important. But why do we even do this?
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
To explain all of that, let's jump on to VS Code. First, I will start with giving a quick reminder of how arrays work and how indexing works inside an array. So let's say you have an array and you want to access a particular element inside that array using indexes, then all you need to do is pass the index of whatever element you want to access, and that will all happen in big O1 time or constant time. And this is something that hash map takes advantage of. So moving back to hash function takes in a key as a parameter, and basically what it does is it does some computation to figure out something called a hash code. That hash code is exactly the same if the key remains the same, and it doesn't change if the key is not changing, and that hash function takes care of mapping that hash code to an index. So basically you pass in a key inside a hash function and that will convert that key into hash code and compute the hash code, and then that hash code is mapped to an index inside that array, and that's where hash map uses the fast indexing of an array. So basically whenever you pass in your key, that key will be converted into a hash code, and that hash code is mapped to an index, and then we can use the fast properties of array, that is getting an element inside an array using the index really fast, and that's how hash map achieves a bigger one-time complexity to search something. So let's understand that further by taking an example of array versus hash map condition. So let's say you have a 2D array in which every element has a name and an address attached to it, and all you need to figure out is an address for that particular name. So how can you solve this? One way to solve this is you'd start traversing your entire array, and for every element you check if that matches the name you want to search for, and if you did, then you have found the address of that particular name. Now, this takes a bigger n time complexity because you traverse your entire array. But let's see how would you do that in for a map. For a map, all you need to do is keep on adding that address to the particular name, and then all you need to do is figure out what exactly is that address on that particular name, and this all is done in big O1 time instead of big O n time, because your hash map will take care of doing all of the mapping between a key and that index. So whenever you're trying to search a particular key, all you need to do is just pass in the key and it will take care of indexing it. And behind the scenes, all it's doing is trying to figure out what the hash code is for that particular element, and then figure out what the indexing is for that hash code, and see if element exists on that particular index on that hash map. And it's all done in big O1 time as compared to big O n time for array, and that's why hash maps are used. Now let's take a look at some of the methods and what are the time complexity of those methods. Inserting an item in a hash map or an object takes big O one time because all you need to do is pass in the key and it will figure out what index to place in, and that all happens in big O one time. Now searching, this is the most important thing for hash maps, and luckily it happens in big O one time as well on an average case, because all you need to do is you have an element, and then all you need to do is figure out the hash code of it and then map it to and figure out what is the mapping for that index inside an array, and then all of this happens in big O one time. And then deleting an element also happens in big O one time as well, and this is all achieved because of all of that hash code implementation and the the fact that hash code uses array inside them as an underlying data structure. I hope you like this video. If you did, then maybe browse my channel or consider subscribing as well. Thanks for watching.